The Wonder Jelly, a petroleum legacy. Workers were fighting a losing battle against a mysterious black residue that kept jamming their drilling equipment. This industrial nuisance, known as rod wax, was considered nothing more than a costly annoyance. But sometimes, the most revolutionary discoveries come from the most unlikely places. Robert Augustus Cheesebrow was not having a good year. At just 22 years old, his career in whale oil was literally evaporating before his eyes. The petroleum boom had decimated the whaling industry, and like many others, he found himself at a crossroads. But unlike his peers who saw only disaster, Cheesebrow saw opportunity in crisis. Cheesebrow's journey from failed whale oil chemist to pharmaceutical pioneer represents one of medicine's most fascinating accidents, notes Dr. Jaya Kumar in JMA Dermatology. His obsession with this industrial waste product would ultimately revolutionize both medicine and skincare. What caught Cheesebrow's attention wasn't the oil itself, but rather the peculiar behavior of the workers. They were deliberately collecting the waxy residue that accumulated on the drills, using it to treat their wounds and burns. In an era when most wound treatments were more likely to cause infection than cure it, these oil workers were experiencing remarkably fast healing. What followed was an 11-year odyssey that would test the boundaries of scientific dedication and perhaps sanity. Cheesebrow set up a small laboratory in Brooklyn and began experimenting with the rod wax. He would spend countless hours refining and purifying the substance, testing each iteration on himself. The level of self-experimentation Cheesebrow engaged in would be considered ethically questionable by today's standards, explains Dr. Divya in the International Journal of Pharmaceutical Research. He deliberately wounded himself with acid burns and cuts, then meticulously documented the healing process under his refined petroleum jelly. But perhaps his most shocking act was his daily ritual of consuming a spoonful of his creation, a practice he maintained well into his 90s. When asked about this unusual habit, he would simply reply, "Pure petroleum jelly is absolutely harmless. There's not a better medicine in existence." By 1872, Cheesebrow had perfected his formula and patented it under the name Vaseline, a combination of the German word for water, Wasser, and the Greek word for oil, Elein. But creating a great product wasn't enough. He needed to convince a skeptical public to put petroleum byproduct on their skin. His marketing strategy was bold and theatrical. He traveled across New York State, demonstrating his product by burning his skin with acid, then applying Vaseline to show its healing properties. He distributed free samples liberally, understanding that once people tried it, they would be convinced. The breakthrough came when Queen Victoria became a devoted user, eventually knighting Cheesebrow in 1883. As noted in historical records, the Queen's endorsement transformed Vaseline from a curiosity to a must-have household item virtually overnight. Modern science has revealed what those oil workers intuitively discovered. Petroleum jelly creates an occlusive barrier that reduces transepidermal water loss by over 98%, a statistic that no other natural or synthetic moisturizer has managed to match. Dr. Peter Elias, in the Journal of American Academy of Dermatology, explains, "The molecular structure of petroleum jelly is uniquely suited to skin barrier repair. It doesn't just sit on top of the skin. It integrates with the stratum corneum's lipid bilayers, effectively becoming part of the skin's natural barrier." But perhaps most surprisingly, recent research has uncovered unexpected benefits. A 2014 study published in the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology found that petroleum jelly actually stimulates the skin's own antimicrobial defenses. It's not just a passive barrier, explains lead researcher Dr. Charnowicki. It actively promotes skin health at a cellular level. However, success breeds scrutiny, and Vaseline has faced its share of controversies. The clean beauty movement has targeted its petroleum origins, despite the fact that pharmaceutical-grade petroleum jelly undergoes extensive purification. The irony, notes Dr. Morrison in Dry Skin and Moisturizers. is that many natural alternatives actually have more potentially harmful impurities than properly refined petroleum jelly. Perhaps the most serious controversy emerged in neonatal care. For years, petroleum jelly was standard treatment for preventing water loss in premature infants. Then, alarming studies emerged suggesting increased infection risks in extremely low birth weight babies. The neonatal controversy perfectly illustrates the complexity of medical science, explains Dr. Knopper in the Journal of Pediatrics. A treatment can be simultaneously life-saving for one group and potentially dangerous for another. Few people realize that Vaseline played a crucial role in both world wars. It became standard issue in military medical kits, used for everything from treating trench foot to preventing rust on weapons. Commander Robert Peary even credited it as essential to his successful North Pole expedition. The military connection helped establish petroleum jelly's reputation for extreme condition effectiveness, notes military historian Dr. James Wilson. If it could protect skin in Arctic conditions and desert warfare, it could handle everyday use. Today, Vaseline finds itself at the center of new controversies. The slugging trend, coating one's face in petroleum jelly overnight, has divided the dermatological community. While some praise its barrier-repairing properties, others warn about potential complications. The slugging debate reflects our complicated relationship with simple solutions, says Dr. Lee in the Journal of Drugs and Dermatology. We're constantly searching for complex, expensive treatments when sometimes the most basic option is the most effective. Environmental concerns have also emerged. While petroleum jelly itself is inert and non-toxic, its petroleum origins make it a target for sustainability advocates. However, as Dr. Petrie notes in Toxicology Letters, the environmental impact of producing natural alternatives often exceeds that of properly refined petroleum jelly. Despite controversies, petroleum jelly's medical importance is undeniable. It remains the gold standard in wound care, serving as a control in studies of new treatments. Its role in dermatology is so fundamental that it's used as the base for many prescription medications. What's remarkable, notes Dr. Gadia Lee in the American Academy of Dermatology Journal, is that the basic formula remains virtually unchanged since 1872. In an era of constant medical innovation, nothing has surpassed its combination of effectiveness, safety, and affordability. Perhaps most fascinating is Vaseline's social impact. It democratized skincare at a time when most treatments were expensive and often dangerous. Its affordability and effectiveness made it accessible to everyone, regardless of social status. Vaseline represents one of the first truly universal medical products, explains medical historian Dr. Sarah Richards. It crossed social, economic, and racial boundaries in an era when such crossover was rare. As we approach the 150th anniversary of Vaseline's patent, its future seems secure yet controversial. While some high-end beauty brands distance themselves from petroleum products, dermatologists continue to recommend it. Emergency rooms stock it, surgeons rely on it, and millions of people worldwide use it daily. New research continues to uncover surprising benefits. Recent studies suggest petroleum jelly might help prevent eczema in infants when used early. Others are investigating its potential role in microbiome management. What's fascinating, notes Dr. Charnowitzki, is that we're still discovering new properties of this Victorian-era invention. It's possible we've only scratched the surface of its potential applications. The story of Vaseline reminds us that sometimes the most important medical discoveries come not from high-tech laboratories, but from careful observation of everyday phenomena. Those oil workers in Pennsylvania, treating their wounds with industrial waste, had stumbled upon something revolutionary. Robert Cheesebrow's genius wasn't just in refining petroleum jelly. It was in recognizing the significance of what others dismissed as a nuisance. He took an industrial byproduct and transformed it into one of medicine's most versatile tools. In many ways, concludes Dr. Divya, the Vaseline story epitomizes the scientific process at its best: observation, experimentation, refinement, and validation through use. That this process began with oil workers treating their wounds with drill residue makes it all the more remarkable. Today, as we debate clean beauty versus synthetic products, natural versus processed ingredients, the story of Vaseline offers important lessons. It reminds us that effectiveness and origin don't always correlate, that sometimes the simplest solutions are the best, and that innovation can come from the most unlikely sources. Whether you view it as a wonder product or an industrial relic, one thing is certain: this accidental discovery from the oil fields of Pennsylvania has left an indelible mark on medical history. As we face new skincare challenges and environmental concerns, the humble petroleum jelly continues to spark debate, drive research, and most importantly, heal skin. In Cheesebro's own words, spoken near the end of his life, "I was told it was waste, but I turned it into gold." Looking at Vaseline's enduring legacy, it's hard to argue with his assessment.